For those that don't know me, I'm Colin Hazard. I'm the International Trade Advisor at InvestNI, covering agri-tech, covering all subsectors through agri-engineering, animal health, through to software solutions. I just wanted to start by thanking Gaurav and Dhruv in particular for their presentations this morning. We worked closely with TNA Consulting earlier this year on the agri-market study for India, and they're now benefiting from their professional approach with the insightful report that's been produced and expounded here this morning a little by Gaurav. So thank you so much for that, Gaurav. Dhruv's input cannot be underestimated, also just as an authority in the sector and on the market. So we're delighted to have been able to tap into that knowledge this morning. So thanks, Dhruv. And just a mention of our office out in India. A couple of my InvestNI colleagues, Sai and Sonali, working out there in the Mumbai office, which has been going for 2 years or so now. They are really the dream team for us out in India, sort of ready, willing, and most importantly, able to help you with your export journey and your ambitions potentially in India, which is, I'm assuming, the reason that you're on this morning. We've received a couple of questions through the chat during the webinar, so if I could ask Sai, Gaurav and Dhruv to join me on camera, and we'll finish the session by going through these questions. Sai, hi, Gaurav and Dhruv. Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys. Gaurav, question in for yourself. I know you touched on it in the presentation, and so maybe just by way of reminder for the guys who are interested, just thinking about the regulatory requirements with India, just what are the most effective strategies you would see for Northern Irish companies to try to enter the market?
Sure. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Dhruv, for the presentation. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to all the attendees. Well, Colin, yes, a regulatory challenge is I would say, a pertinent challenge for Northern Irish companies, and I would say for every foreign company, it has been a challenge, and hopefully that will be addressed in the FTA, because there has been a discussion that the custom duty and other countervailing duties would go down. That would make foreign companies more competitive, and that is why even in the short term to medium term, I would say the most effective strategy is to partner with a local company in India, whether via importer distributor, or if the company is big enough and they do feel that they have a big demand segment in India, then possibly with a contract manufacturer to cater to the Indian market and possibly to the nearby Indian markets, and more specifically the Asia market, because a lot of companies in India are actually doing, I would say, contract manufacturing for some of the European companies to cater to the Asian market. So yes, the ideal strategy is to partner with a local company who has the expertise, knowledge, resources to support the foreign company. Once they're established, then probably yes, the foreign company can go full steam ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, thanks, Gaurav. I guess I should also say, just with your experience out there, that for everybody listening in, obviously we can utilize Gaurav's and team's services through our TAS service, so we can connect you directly to TNA to look to help if some of these topics you're keen to take further. Just to say that, Dhruv, there's a question just maybe for yourself here. Just an interest in what specific areas of the Indian agriculture sector that are currently attracting the most investment, and maybe where you see some growth potential.
Thanks for the question. I believe that the major subsectors that I've tried to cover during the presentation are the ones which are currently attracting a lot of investment into other game changers. Specifically, I'd like to talk about the agriculture machinery. So when we talk about agriculture, FDI is into the agriculture sector out here in India. We basically bifurcate into two different verticals. One of the verticals is called as the FDI into the agriculture machinery, and the second is called as the agriculture services. So all sort of investment that comes into what we call it as plantation, any agri input, any sort of agri-chemical or something goes into that. And as per the data suggests, for agriculture machinery in the last, I'll say 5 to 6 years, we have seen a total inflow of investment, which amounted to 1.2 billion USD. And if you talk about the year-on-year growth, we have witnessed the CAGR growth of approximately 65% CAGR growth into the agriculture machinery sector. Talking about the agriculture services sector, in the last 6 years, the inflow of investment into the very same sector has been somewhat around 1 billion to 1.1 billion. And I think these subsectors like horticulture, agriculture machinery, agriculture technologies, and agrochemicals specifically are some of the key subsectors where we can see a lot of traction coming into place. The reason being that India holds the largest arable land globally, and we definitely have some challenges with respect to production and global averages that we have. And we do need these new technologies, new interventions, new investment coming down into these subsectors so that we can match the global averages soon.
Okay. So thanks. Maybe just following on a little bit, just again, a very general point that maybe just follows on from that, just thinking about the livestock and dairy sectors in India. Is that an area where there'd be opportunities? Obviously, that's sort of an area that we're familiar with here in Northern Ireland. So just wondering.
Oh yeah, basically, if we talk about the dairy sector out there in India, everyone knows they were the second largest producer of agriculture produce and the largest producer when it comes to production of you can say milk. In the 20 to 23, we have witnessed around 230 million tons of milk production, and we have the largest number of cattle, like the milk giving cattle or buffaloes out here in India. Further, if we see that from 14-15 to 20 to 23, the Indian dairy sector has taken a steep, you can say, jump. The sector has burgeoned, like we have seen a growth of 58% growth into the production of milk here in India. And again, like we have the issues pertaining to lower yield as compared to the yields that we have in developed countries, and a lot of new technologies can be brought into, not in terms of only veterinary services, but also in terms of cattle management, farm management, processing of raw milk into value-added products, and so far and so on. Though we have the largest production of raw milk availability globally, but I think it's time to add on to more value-added products out of it. So a technology transfer from developed countries, some new technologies coming in terms of farm management, making value-added products, and so far and so on can be something we'll be more than happy to welcome.
Okay. No, thanks for that. And again, Drew, thanks for your contribution, your help with this today. And obviously, again, it's good to have your contact there for anybody that potentially is keen to follow up afterwards. And obviously, we'd be keen to connect you. Gaurav, maybe just one back to you. There's just a couple of questions really around this one, which is about identifying the right kind of partner. I know, again, you touched on it in the presentation, but I guess for our companies who are keen to export, it's always going to be an absolute key consideration. So maybe just a reminder on your, how you would recommend selecting a partner or distributor for India in the sector.
Sure. Colin, I believe identification of the right partner is key to success in Indian markets. And some of the, I would say, key criterion or parameters to look when identifying the right partner is that, number one, always assess what is the product portfolio alignment, that what the product which NI companies are offering, what is the product portfolio of the corresponding importer or distributor, or if the contract manufacturer, do they have that in basket? Are they familiar with that product portfolio segment? And are they aware of the technology that the foreign companies or NI companies are bringing? So that is definitely one of the factors. Another major factor in India is distributorship and dealership, because India, unlike European or American markets, is a very diverse market. Okay, a player very strong in the northern part of India, let's say a Delhi region, may not have a very strong foothold in the Mumbai or a Bangalore region. That's why it's very important that while identifying the partner, you must assess that what kind of dealership, distributorship they have in their networks, because network plays a huge role while selling the equipment or technology to the end customer. So that is again one of the very important factor. Third important factor is their prior experience in the Indian market, as well as their experience with the foreign company. That what kind of experience they have had in the past with the foreign companies, and are they aware of the intricacies and nitty-gritties of working with a foreign company or not. And last but not the least, very important for a cultural fit, because the first 3 points I mentioned, those are more on the lines of strategic fit. The last one is about cultural fit, that the company should be financially sound, or always assess that company has a credible financial background and the management is ethical. There is no, I would say, civil liability or contract disengagements in the past. So cultural fit is again very important in the Indian context. And I believe a right partner, a perfect partner, is the ideal mix of a strategic and cultural fit.
No, that's good. Thanks, Gaurav. Appreciate it. And not to leave Sai out, Sai, just a question, just maybe just for our companies that are interested in connecting with relevant stakeholders after the webinar, and maybe just you could touch on the way of getting support from yourselves out in market more generally.
Sure, thanks, Colin. So hello, everyone. So yeah, I'm based out of Mumbai. I'm the representative for Invest.NI based out of Mumbai. So happy to have a conversation with the company, understand more about their products or the service offerings, kind of understanding more about the business, and we could then discuss on how we could support them to access this market. It could be in terms of introducing them to relevant stakeholders or relevant sector specialists, like Dhruv or Gaurav in this webinar, or we could look at help assist you with introductions to relevant partners or distributors in the market, or we could maybe help you identify the relevant opportunities in India which are relevant for your business offerings. So I'll leave my contact, in the chat. Happy to have feel free to drop in a line and have to have a conversation with you and take this forward.
Great. Well, that's great. Thanks, Sai. Looking there, I think that's all the questions that have come in. If anybody's got anything that they didn't get a chance to ask or anything you think of in the next little while, do feel free to get in touch through myself, and we'll try to get you the answers you need. And as I say, for any Invest.NI clients listening in, obviously I'm your point of contact for all agri-tech export matters within the trade division at Invest for all markets. But if you're particularly interested in the Indian report that Gaurav and team produced, please let me know, and I'll be able to provide you with that information. And maybe just to say, if there's anybody on the webinar today who isn't currently an Invest client, but you're keen to take advantage of our international network, which is now 30 offices strong, including Sai out there in Mumbai, and also tap into other export supports, your best way to start that is by completing an export health check online. And if you just Google Invest.NI export health check, you'll find a link to a short form, and that'll get you connected, and then you'll be able to start your journey with us to try and help you with your export plans. So for now, that's it. Thanks for joining. Thanks for giving up an hour of your busy weeks. Hopefully the information insights were helpful and increased your understanding of the agri-tech marketplace in India, maybe a market you hadn't previously considered viable. Thanks again to our contributors, particularly Gaurav and Dhruv, and the facilitators of this session today. So, thanks everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.